Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prowess Live. We're so excited to have you all with us today. I know that we're going to be talking about magnetic marketing and attracting those dream clients. I know this is something that's always top of mind for an online business manager, is how we are growing our business. So I am super excited for our guest today. And to get us focusing on those marketing skills, I would love to have you guys throw into chat. Um, if you had an emoji that described your marketing energy right now, what would that be? So you guys can just throw that in chat. And if you're new here today, I am Leah Steinkirk with Prowess Project. I started as the OBM and now sit in the COO role, helping women with coaching, training, and then helping them get matched up with clients here through Prowess Project. And for those that have been here before, welcome back. I know you're going to get ready to take some notes. So I want to welcome our guest, who I always love when we have people on that have very similar missions and values to Prowess. Her mission is also very similar, as we're helping people pivot in their career to become online business manager. She has a passion for helping those that are maybe leaving corporate and starting their next thing. So I want to welcome Debra Boulanger. Hello, Deb. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Leah. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be on the show. Excited.
Yes. Well, we would love to have you and tell us about you and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, I am the founder and CEO of Life After Corporate. So, if you had a corporate career, just drop it in chat. I'm right there with you. After 27 years in sales, marketing, product development, managing a line of business, I hit my career cliff. I had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve in corporate. There was nowhere else that I could go in the company that I was in. And I started looking around and didn't find anything interesting. And on a meditation cushion, on a 10-day silent meditation retreat, I got the vision that, oh, well, I've been through a lot in my life. I know a lot. I could teach it to other women and help other people along this journey. And when you're seeking your answer and you get it, it's like you don't question. And so I just took it and ran with it. And the rest is history.
Oh, well, I'm very grateful that you did that, because I think there's so many, well, we know that there's so many people have benefited from that and so many more to come. If we're just diving into
Mhm.
marketing and messaging, what advice do you have when it comes to magnetic marketing?
Magnetic marketing is all about thought leadership. And thought leadership gets tossed around a lot. So I want to unpack that a little bit. The way to think about it is, what do you want to be known for? So you may be an online business manager, but what is your secret sauce? What are you really passionate about? What's that problem that you love helping your clients solve to get over that hump? You may be someone who specializes in helping entrepreneurs grow from that messy middle of mid six figures to over that seven figure hump, or helping that founder grow from 1 million to 5 million, and doing all the things to help operationally to bring on the team and manage the clients. And I think we need to start. Good marketing is about understanding what's the primary problem that you want to solve through your services, and speaking directly to your ideal client in their language and how they think about their problem, how they talk about their problem, and then providing them a different perspective on how to think about a solution, right? So sometimes, even though online business managers have been around a long time as a sector in the market, not everybody knows what you do or what you're capable of doing. So I think magnetic marketing connects the problem with a unique solution and explains it in a way that turns on light bulbs for the people you're trying to reach. That makes sense?
Absolutely. And do you have any examples, kind of, because I think a lot of time OBMs were stuck, we see the problems, right? So we see, Ashley uses the example a lot of, like, if you're talking about the vacation, we're talking about the plane and all the gears inside of it, and this is what we could do, when it's really that destination and what happens when you're on vacation, that feeling. So, do you have any advice for those of us who can't get out of the explaining what we do part to really attract the client through that messaging?
Yeah, absolutely. So Give me an example of a problem that your typical client has.
As an OBM, we'll see that
Mhm,
maybe their onboarding processes, right? Or their
mhm.
it's we can see the technology, adding in new CRMs, adding in new tools, and it's very functional.
Yeah, it's very functional. So, it could be, you don't have a technology problem, you have a business growth problem, right? So you need to understand what are all the pieces of the pie. So I, as a founder, may think I need a new piece of technology when maybe a new piece of technology is the last thing I need. Maybe I need some new people on my team. Maybe I need new standard operating procedures. So, really helping me understand what the problem is because I'm thinking in terms of where I want to go, right? So, I want to sell my business in 5 years. So, what are all the things? So, I could, if I were an OBM and I had those skills and I had that passion, I would be selling my services as the OBM who positions founders for their eventual exit or
Mhm.
who helps founders scale from multiple six figures to multiple seven figures, identifying that because I'm not connected to the weeds. I'm not
Mhm.
connected to what technology or what SOPs just make me nervous. It's just the last thing I want to do is spend time documenting something. So it's not what I'm thinking about. It's probably what I need, but what I'm thinking about is, how do I scale and exit?
Oh, such a great point. Is get And so when it comes to putting things out there that we think might be attracting that ideal client, are there any signs that we know we're on the right track?
Yeah, when people start resonating with your message. So if I were an OBM and my clients were on LinkedIn, I might start posting, three hidden traps that prevent founders from scaling to multiple seven figures, or five secrets that position a founder for a successful exit, profitable exit. I want to start hearing that you talk about the problems and positioning your solutions because I don't really care how you do it. I care that you get me the results. And so if you're talking about, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and you're talking about the features of your business, I don't connect with that. I want to connect with what you can do for me, why that's a good idea. And by the way, what makes you different? What makes you special, unique? Because it's also a blend of your past experience, all your new credentials, everything that you've learned, the people that you've worked for. And so have the confidence to go out there and position yourself as an expert.
So I told you guys you'd want me taking notes today. So let's dive into that because we chatted a little bit before we hit the live button was really OBMs need to be stepping into their specialty, their niche. And what advice do you have around that of really making themselves unique out there?
Well, there's two different questions in there. One is, what is your niche, right? What is your niche? How are you going to position yourself? One is, what lights you up? What is the problem that you want to solve? What do you want to be known for, as we said? So picking something or the type of individual that you love working with who has these problems. And so you position yourself as the solution to those challenges. But when you go out there and you position yourself, you're really just using language to say, this is my area of expertise. And really great marketing is all about being seen and heard, right? So visibility is currency. You can't be invisible and discoverable at the same time. If you're lucky enough to work with Leah and Ashley, then they'll make the match for you, and there's less selling that you have to do. But I think in order to grow your own business, you need to be out there and you need to be visible. And if you're not giving webinars, if you're not posting your expertise on LinkedIn, then you're missing out.
Yes. So those are two great ways, webinars or LinkedIn. Any other thing that you feel like people should be trying to see if it is for them, at least giving it the try when it comes to
Yeah. And
OBMs putting their services out there.
yeah, joining professional networks. creating a referral stream. So Ashley and I met through a professional network. And so it's easier for us to refer to one another because we know one another. And that's the key. If you're just doing the things, being that behind the scenes person, working on your projects on your laptop in your office, but you're not also out there either in person or virtually connecting to other people who are adjacent to you in your network. So if you are an online business manager, so who are the people who also serve your clients? Bookkeepers, accountants, lawyers, the people who your clients go to first because they need to incorporate, they need to get their financial house in order. And so soon thereafter, they need to get out of the um, sole proprietor seat and take the CEO seat and stop wearing all the hats. So, how are you positioned and how are you top of mind to get those types of referrals? And professional networks include, I belong to several. One is called Entreprenista League. That is full of female founders who are at various stages of business growth, both in the product and services space. There's a couple of thousand founders there. Elevate Network is another great network. Although Elevate started as a professional women's network, for women who were in corporate, there is a large fraction of entrepreneurs there. There is an entrepreneur roundtable that they hold, I think at least once a month. And then there's Luminary. Luminary started as a physical co-working space in New York and community. During COVID, they expanded to a digital network. There's lots of locations that are sister locations around the country and soon around the world, I think. And so showing up in those rooms, and those rooms also give you an opportunity to be a presenter, to be an expert, be in front of the room. And so I have a 3-2-1 strategy for lead generation. And first one is getting in the right rooms. So can you find 3 venues where you could offer to speak? And for my clients who want to be multiple six-figure earners, we're looking at 3 speaking engagements a month. So having a high converting webinar, making sure that you spend a lot of time crafting and honing your marketing right now is super important, and getting that super dialed in, both on the problem you solve, the people you serve, and how you talk about that in a way they've never heard it before. And then taking that talk, shopping it around, that gets people to say, hey, I would like more from you. So to convert them onto your mailing list, I recommend 2 high converting lead magnets. Might be something that's a diagnostic tool. How can you tell that you're ready for an OBM? What are the top 10 tasks an OBM can help you out with, or simple strategies to identify the right technology based on your business model. Those things that would have value for people that they'd be willing to exchange their email address and download. And then you need to be present on social media. And whether your clients are on Instagram or Threads or LinkedIn, you need to be there too, and you need to be posting things that are addressing the problems that they care about. So it's 3-2-1: 3 speaking engagements, 2 high converting lead magnets, and at least 1 social media network where you have a consistent presence.
I love the system, as all OBMs do. We really like when there's like that system and it's easy and trackable. So thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that. And one thing that you mentioned, I think resonates with our audience is that serving piece, right? You can talk about this. I love your insight on this of sharing content. Sometimes we feel like it's forced if we're like, what do I write about? How am I selling myself? But when you're talking about
Mhm.
how you want to serve people, I think that there's a lot of positive energy that can come through that, right? If so, it doesn't always have to be salesy stuff. It can be about how you serve your community, or like you mentioned before, your specialty, how that specialty serves your audience.
Yeah, so I think a really good post has a structure to it too. And that is, excuse me, there's a strong hook, there's an attention getting headline that immediately stops the scroll. So it could be something like why you don't need a new technology platform, and what you need instead, right? So if I were shopping around for a tech platform, that would cause me to pause. And then you tell a story. And you tell a story about yourself or a client that you worked with who thought they had a tech problem and they really had a process problem or something like that. And then a paradigm shift. So the paradigm shift has a simple formula too. It's called it's not this, it's that. People think there's a source to their problem, which may or may not be true. So if you think you have a tech problem, here's to identify whether you have a tech problem or a process problem. And so you give them the thought process, and then you say, you come up with some phrase that you can own. So I'll give you an example. People always come to me for pricing, and I'm sure we'll talk about pricing here in this conversation as well. And I frequently hear, well, I don't know what an hour of my time is worth. And my response is always, no one's buying an hour of your time. They're buying a solution to a very expensive problem. No one's buying your self-worth, right? So that immediately, when they hear that, it's like, oh my God, you're right. No one's buying my self-worth. I'm always discounting because I don't feel I'm worthy enough on the inside to be charging premium fees. And so I created a new formula for people, and we actually trademarked it, and it's called your return on advantage. You're selling a solution to a very expensive problem. And the value of that is your return on advantage to your client. So if we use an example of an OBM here, let's say it's the scaling and exit. The problem I have is, I'm stuck here in the messy middle and I need to scale to seven figures. So I have a $500,000 problem. If you can help me solve that, then, the value of that to me may be $50,000, right? Or $500,000 over, well, it's a $500,000 problem. It's a $50,000 investment to do that. So that's how I think about it, is if you can 10x the investment that people make with you through the work that you do and improving their operation, streamlining things, automating those client successes, automating the marketing, there's so much that can be measurable that you can hang your hat on and say, typically when clients work with me, they get a 10x return on advantage.
I love all of this. What would you say to those that are just getting started? So, because we have a lot of people that come into our program who they are just starting their OBM business.
Mhm.
They have a lot of success in corporate, but they feel like, oh, I can't claim that as my OBM.
Mm.
Where do you see, or what can you share about them setting their pricing?
Yeah, you're not just getting started, you just feel it's all new because you're doing it in a different way than you have before. And so, when we launch a business, we bring all of our experience to the table. I mean, all the experience, the things you're passionate about as a kid, the things that you hold true, your values, your education, your experience in corporate, and your new OBM training. And so you're not a newbie. You're not a newbie. You bring serious skills to the table, and I'm sure Leah and Ashley can help you identify what those are, and so that you can step into and fully embody that. And that's a challenge because this transition from corporate to entrepreneurship is a change in identity. And sometimes we underplay that, or we don't recognize that, is that the value systems are different when you're out on your own. It's not like you get the paycheck, or you get the reward, you get the bonus. It's not like your day is scheduled out for you when you come into the office. You're creating that whole entire ecosystem.
Yes. Which I do think is, it takes some getting used to when people are getting started, but then it becomes very natural. And I love all that you've shared about the marketing and especially the community piece.
Mm.
Because going back to that, when you have other people, you're in that community that you're either bouncing ideas off of, you're sharing expertise, everyone starts to lift everyone else up.
Absolutely, masterminding with each other. There's more value in cooperation than there is in competition. and getting
Mm.
together on a regular basis with other OBMs and sharing how to solve common challenges, or, what's working in your client acquisition these days is also super valuable.
Yes. And I like that you're talking about values, because one thing I will say about reviewing like your website, there's so much packed in there. And so I can tell the value if you're sharing that with your audience, right? How much value you would be bringing to someone as a client specifically. So I think again, that's a great way to showcase your skills without feeling like you're pushing and selling.
Yeah, I think, what we're trying to do here is gather up attention. And attention is a rare commodity right now because everyone is so distracted. There's so much competition for eyeballs and eyes and ears that I think it's Daniel Priestley who said on average, you have to spend about 7 hours with someone before they make the decision to work with you. Now, I'm
Mm.
not sure that's true for OBMs. It might be true for the agency, that they're consuming your content. And if you think about an hour's worth of content, you could deliver a webinar in an hour. It could also mean that you develop an email list and you start nurturing your connections with your email list, because maybe there are some founders that are early stage and they're not yet ready to hire an OBM. But when they are, they know that you're the one that they want to hire because you've been supporting them all along the way with weekly tips and how to navigate this gnarly stage that they're in. So those are some things: opening an email, reading an email, commenting on a post. Those are all micro conversions that are bringing your prospects closer and closer to working with you.
Great, great points. And again, my brain is going to those when you're talking about your niche or your service, how you want to deliver it. That, like you mentioned before, it's going to light you up. Like when you can bring those two things together, is when the marketing to me it becomes much easier, right? Because it's authentic then.
Absolutely. I don't deal with people who are looking to scale over 7 figures. My clients are very beginners on this journey. Most of my clients, when we start working together, they're pre-revenue. And my goal is to get them to mid 6 figures, but I can't spread myself so thin. I can't be all things to all people. So I've
Hmm.
chosen what I'm passionate about, which is entrepreneurship is the new feminist movement. It gives women a choice of how they earn their income. And if I can help you take your skills and monetize them and replace your corporate salary, then I have left the legacy I want to leave. It's kind of like how I think about it. So that's what I'm passionate about. And I think if you're not passionate about what you do, why are you an entrepreneur? Why are you a business owner?
Hmm. Hmm. Do you have any recommendations on people who are, because a lot of times OBM can be multi-passionate, right?
Mhm.
Well, they'll say, but I like this, but I like that, but really honing in on the one thing to devote your energy to.
Yeah, I think it doesn't have to be one thing. You can be multi-passionate, but it's in the mix of things that you love to do, that you're passionate about, and who's the person who needs all of those things,
Mm,
right? So
that's a great.
looking at it, yeah, look at it from both sides of the lens. If you're passionate about, give me an example, Leah, that
Um, for one, like right now, I hear this a lot that OBMs are very passionate about AI and all the things they could do, but they really are drawn to working with people that are more um humanistic. Maybe they like to work with coaches and consultants, and maybe there is more of the manifestation and um more in the woo woo world of working with people like that. But then they're like, but I really love automation and AI, and I don't feel like they're going to want that because they
mm.
want the business
So
to feel
I
more
would
authentic.
position myself as the person who helps spiritual coaches leverage AI in the most authentic way to streamline their marketing, their sales processes, and attract more clients. Right? So I use AI all the time. It's like my best assistant ever. But I also know I have to train it. And I also know that most people who are new to AI don't know how to train AI to have it work for them. So that would be a great post on LinkedIn, or a series of posts, a great newsletter. It would be a great webinar. Um, how to use AI most effectively for a spiritual based coaching business. Um, so I hope that's making sense, because I'm
Yeah,
making up
yeah.
these things on the fly and they need to be fine tuned. They're not sexy enough yet, but it's the idea that you get to sell what you're most passionate about, as long as it's something that your ideal client perceives that they need.
Yes, yes, and I can see where that is going to the problem to solve, right? There's that fear and question around AI, so that's what you're really addressing things to.
Yeah. And to answer Savannah's question about, is there a preferred marketing um, type that gets the best results? No. It's like where your clients are, and also what you feel energetically aligned to. If you love to do reels and you have a personality that's super engaging and you love to drop a great hook and then spend 90 seconds, teaching someone to think something differently, then do it on Instagram. You may need to experiment to see where your ideal clients are. On LinkedIn, it's more long form posts. LinkedIn is now having more shorts. So the jury's still out on shorts on LinkedIn. I think it's been relatively new. And we know newsletters are really effective on LinkedIn, because then you get a bunch of subscribers. But before you do anything on LinkedIn, I would make sure you have followers, right? So if you don't have anyone following you on LinkedIn, that means you're posting and no one's seeing it. So I would start posting regularly, but I would focus my attention on how can I create connections at scale without spamming people, and build up an ecosystem of people who might be ideal clients or potential clients or referral partners.
Fantastic. And if you have any more questions, please throw those in chat. Um, Deb, I wanted to go back to the pricing. We talked a little bit about that. Was there anything else you'd want to share when it comes to pricing?
Pricing is so sticky, because there's so much wrapped up in it. Your self-esteem, how much you believe in yourself, how confident you are in your skills. And I think pricing is something that you need to inch up if you're not confident. Find that rate that's an equitable exchange of value. What I don't want you to do is price your services so low that you're not profitable, and that you're overworking, you're resenting your business, you're resenting your clients. That's a sure sign that you're underpricing. And every time you take on a new client or a new project, just up your prices, even if it's by 20%. I used to teach a pricing master class, and even in a Zoom room with about 20 other people, I had one person model their pricing for me. And I said, well, let's just, for giggles, let's just double your pricing and see what happens. And we rippled it through. She doubled her pricing. That enabled her to leave her corporate job, fully step into entrepreneurship, serve fewer people at a higher level. And it completely changed her life and her business. So you don't know what the ceiling is until you hit it. And I know we're in this season right now where people are very price sensitive. So having a starter package, something that's your entry level, that's going to clean up the biggest mess that people have, and then leaving them the option to go on retainer later to fully implement the strategy that they'd like to have you work on. So I would do a starter package. So I have an online business manager I've been working with for 6 years. I adore her. She is my right arm. I cannot imagine doing business without her. When we are on retreat together and she's with me, I literally cry at the end to thank her, because she means so much. So those types of relationships are what you want. And what happens with pricing is, just because you're fast and you're quick and you really know your task, if you're charging by the hour, then you're undercharging, because you're not charging for the outcome, you're charging for your time. And because you're fast and adept and smart, you're doing it really quickly. And I wrote a post on this, and I wrote a pricing guide. And here's a story. My graphic designer is on Upwork, and we two have been working together for about 5 years. And she said, Deb, I read about pricing and pricing by the project, and I charge by the hour. And she's very fast. So I could get like a beautiful lead magnet, and it might only be $150. And yet it's like a $500 piece of work. And she said, should I be charging by the project? And I said, yes, for some you should. And she said, can I charge you by the project? Which happens to everyone I hire to work with me, including my podcast producer, my online business manager, my graphic designer. And I was telling Leah this, I end up paying people more after I hire them because of my philosophy about how you should be charging for your services. And I guarantee everyone listening to this should be charging more and getting well paid for what you do.
Ugh, absolutely. And I'm so glad to hear you say that. Do you have any, I know a lot of times people have a hard time figuring that out, like that packaging. Do you have any advice on the equation?
Yes, I do. I also have a pricing calculator that's on the website. I know we're going to drop the website. It's lifeaftercorporate.com. And there's a pricing calculator there that you can download. And if you shoot me an email, we just created a pricing guide for coaches and consultants that I think would be really useful for you because you're also consultants in some form or fashion, right? Um, so yeah, I do have some guidelines. And the classic way of pricing services was you buy a block of hours, and your clients don't know what to do with a block of hours. I don't know how much time it takes you to do anything, and it's messy for you to track, and then hours have to carry over. So maybe that's the way you start with some people, but eventually you should get them on a retainer based on their typical rhythm of consuming your time and your services, but also look at a rate that is reflective of your expertise and position. And some online business managers may have other people. Maybe you have some people from Upwork or other people that you're subbing things out to at a lower rate. So also understanding, what the value of the assignment is, not necessarily what you're paying yourself or other people or what an hour of your time is worth. It's an
Fantastic.
individual. There's no one I can't say, "Oh, you should be charging $2,000 a month on retainer," because it really depends on the clients you serve. It depends on, what services you offer and, the value of that to them.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned before, going back to that problem that you're solving for them and what
Mhm,
that's worth. And I think such a great point is that because OBMs do work pretty efficiently, right? We get
mhm,
really fast, especially if you're helping someone in a longer relationship, you get really fast at knowing what to go check, what to update. And so it doesn't become apples to apples from day one forward and charging for the hour, right? Because you get a lot done. It doesn't mean you need
mhm.
to charge them less just because you're now more efficient. So I think
Right.
that's huge.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's the biggest mindset trap.
Yes, yes. And I do
Mhm,
think it comes with confidence. Like those that are just getting started, you have to put it out there even though it's scary. You've got to charge what you're worth, right? I've fallen into that one of, oh, I don't want to scare them, so I'm going to give it this
mhm,
lower rate, and then what I see over time is resentment gets in
mhm.
there because you do step into your power and you realize how good you are, and now you've got this person at a lower rate. So, I think that's huge. We're about at time. Do you have anything else you would like to share with this group?
No, would love to stay connected. Reach out to me on LinkedIn and follow me there. Would love to have you drop a direct message. Let me know you were listening to this show. And if you do drop me a message on LinkedIn, I will send you the pricing guide because we haven't uploaded it into any funnel yet. We just created it a couple of weeks ago, but I'd be happy to share that with you.
And you also have a fabulous podcast.
Yes, life after corporate. So if you are finding your way after your life after corporate, we have more than 200 episodes. We are now doing a series on community builders. So interviewing a lot of the people who founded those communities that I mentioned before. And would love to have you tune into the show. If you love it, leave us a review, rate the show, and share it with your friends.
Yes, yes. Please do that because Deb, I was checking it out, and again, I love when we find people that have similar missions to Prowess. Ashley always says she started Prowess to solve her future problem of,
Mm.
how do you work and be a caregiver. And so you having this mission of helping people, especially life after corporate, and your what's next, I just appreciate that so much. So you guys,
Thank
there's a
you.
ton of value in that podcast, so check that out. And we will find you in all your places. We'll post the links in the show notes. And thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah.
Yeah.